Hello, everyone. Welcome to your Algebra 1 remote learning. Today, we will be discussing exponential decay. So to begin, we will start looking at some vocabulary. The first, just looking at some things to review. Exponential functions, a function with repeated multiplication of a constant value. Looking at exponential decay, describes the process of reducing on an amount by a consistent percentage rate over time. Um, in exponential growth, where a value increases in proportion to its current value, such as always doubling. Okay, those are some key vocabularies that you guys should remember. You will see those in your lessons. And just remember exponents. Reminder, an exponent is a shortcut for repeated multiplication. Okay. Example, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Another way to write that would be, um, and once again, I'm always doing that. Another way to write that would be 2 to the fourth power, which is 2 times 2, which is 4, 4 times 2, which is 8 times 2, which is 16. So 2 to the fourth power is 16. No, that's not 2 times 4, which is 8. It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? Looking at the graphs, a graph where the where the exponential function is growing, and a graph where the exponential function is decaying. These are two examples of what those graphs look like if you are unsure, okay? This is a growth and this is a decay. And the equation or the parent basically function that we're going to be working with more likely throughout this lesson and your practices will be y equals a times bx. Okay, the a being the a being okay, the a being the initial value, which never equals 0, and b being the multiplier or the percent or the rate, and x being the time. Okay, and I'm going to write that a being the initial value, okay, b being the rate or the percent, and x being the time. All right, just to remember that. Please write that down. If you don't know, if you have paper pencil, please write it down. I know some of you guys don't like to write stuff down. Please write it down because you're going to need it. All right, so just take a look at it. This example here. A computer costs $800. It loses 1/4 of its value every year after it is purchased. Now, what I want you guys to remember is that when we're talking about 1/4, when you talk about 1/4 of something, when something is 1/4, what is left over from 1/4? You got 2, 4, 3, 4, 4/4, right? 4/4 is a whole. So when you take 1/4 away from 4/4, how much are you left with? You're left with 3/4. So something that I want you guys to begin thinking about is when you are multiplying these numbers, and instead of multiplying these numbers and saying, instead of doing many multiplication problems, what we're going to start doing is, I want to say, what we're going to start doing is looking at what's left over throughout this lesson. So what I mean by this is complete the table. So 800. So here's how this is going to be set up. Remember, I told you we're going to use the equation 8 times b and then x, okay? So the initial value is 800. The rate here is 1/4, okay? So we're not going to use 1/4. We're going to use what's left over. So what is left over after it loses 1/4? What is left over? Which is 3/4. My pen is not working. So 3/4. Okay. $800. Then we're going to multiply it by 3/4. 3/4, and then the exponent is the year or the time. So the time here is 0, so 0. So when an exponent is 0, and I know you guys may have worked with exponents before, when PEMDAS tells us to work with exponents first. So when the exponent is 0, 3/4 to the 0 power is actually 1. So when you translate that, it's actually 800 times 1, which is 800. So here, the answer is 800. Okay? All right? So our answer here, at 0 years, the computer will still be worth $800. Okay? So now let's go to 1 year, because we're finding after it's purchased, how much is it after those years. So after 1 year, we purchase it. The initial value is 800. We're going to multiply it once again by what's left over, not by 1/4. It depreciates 1/4. What is left over, which is 3/4, and the exponent is 1. And you can put a parenthesis around that so you're not confused. So 3/4 one time is 3/4. So if you 800 times 3/4 is actually, put it in the calculator if you're unsure. 3/4 in decimal form is 0.75. So 800 times 0.75 should give you 600. Okay, so here your answer should be 600. Okay. 800 times 3/4, and now this time 3/4 is squared. Now that's saying 3/4 times 3/4. Now you could do 3/4 times 3/4. Well, you know 3/4. Well, 3/4 times 3/4 is 9/16. Okay. 9/16 in decimal form is actually 0.5625. And you could multiply that by 800, and your answer should be 450. Okay? And then you have 800 times 3/4 to the third power And then that's 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4. 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4. Okay. Well, we know 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. And 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. So 27 divided by 64 is 0.421875, and multiply that by 800 and you have a whopping $337.50. If you have a calculator, it's okay to use it, okay? Now, what it's asking here is for us to write an equation, or how would this look with t? So here will be 800 times 3/4, and you put your parentheses, t. You don't even have to solve anything because you can't really solve for anything. And that's what it would look like. So use your equation to find v when t is 5. And you could use this same equation here. And what would the v mean? Write an equation representing the value v of the computer t years after it is purchased. So b here, the value v, so here will be 800 times 3/4 t, okay? And then down here for c, use your equation to find v when t is 5. So you would v equals 800 times 3/4 5 times. Okay, so you can choose to solve this out, but I'm going to let you do that so we can proceed. That will be your extension to this lesson. All right, now this here is also for you to take advantage of on this. And if you do this and you want to send me it, that would be great. The number of copies of a book sold the year it was released was 600,000. Each year after that, the number of copies sold decreased 1/2. Once again, completing this is great because you get the practice. I added this as an extension to your lesson. Just remember when you plug 0 in as an exponent, it makes the number 1. You're multiplying it so it becomes 1, okay? And it just gives you practice. So once you get it done and you would like to send me your answers, please do so. This is just to give you more practice. I wanted you guys to have that ability to practice. So please come see me on my Zooms if you have any questions. This is something that we can do on my Zoom at 10:30 and 1:30 Monday through Friday. I am here for you. I hope everyone is being safe and being very, very, very productive and staying educated and doing all your work. And I can't wait to see your progress. I hope you guys are having fun with the activities. I look forward to seeing you and working with you some more. Have a good one.